Folks, this is Sarah with another BeingNess video. I've been psyching myself out a bit on making these, thinking I have to prepare a whole bunch and not quite sure what to speak about, so I'm just going off the cuff with this. About today is teaching circling. I got a question from Laura Jensen, who's a member of the Asheville community, about how her community can work to practice circling with each other, to increase their skills, to learn circling and teach it to each other. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm gearing up to lead a circling training in Boston, and I've been thinking a lot about what is this practice, how do you teach it, how do you cater to different learning styles and balance kind of training a practice versus training competencies. Like what do we want circling to even be? What's the value of doing it and learning it? So I love this question and riff for a little bit. And the first thing about it is really, what is circling? Because this time there's so many different practices out there, or like a couple of main ones that are being called circling that actually look quite different. So I'd say there's two major frames of circling, and there's wonderful article that's just come out on this written by Michael Porcelli if you look up the Integral Center blog, and a thread on Facebook by Joshua Zader. But like the two kind of main forms of circling are, like, I'd say European American circling, if you want to call it that, Circling Europe, and the Integral Center and Circling Institute and Authentic Revolution. Those three schools are pretty similar. And Circling Europe, I say the most basic difference between them is where they focus in terms of expression. So I'd say Circling Europe focuses much more on self-expression. And it's almost a more spiritual form of circling, in the sense that there's a belief that if I fully express myself, if I'm really true to what's coming through me, then it's actually going to be in service of the group. It's going to create some greater transcendence and connection between us, and that we're all interconnected. And so me expressing myself is not only me, but it's a reflection of the whole. It's a reflection of others. I can use my own intuition and my own expression to serve the group. And then the other styles, and this is just in my words, by the way, I've worked with the different organizations, and this is what I see. The other styles are more about other focus, like what's happening in you. It's almost like if one style is, we're all essentially connected, and in some way we're reflections of each other, and we're similar beings, and let's explore that togetherness, then the more integral styles are about, how are you a unique arising in this moment who's a total alien and could be just about anything, and how do I witness and understand your arising as it's occurring right now, and bring my own expression in, but in service of our shared understanding. So first thing I would say is just getting clear on what sort of circling you're doing and why you're doing it. These different styles can be brought together, but it's very hard to do a form of circling that's both just focused on trusting experience and tuning into your sensations, only speaking when you feel called to, finding your full expression, which could be shouting, it could be crying, could be anything, and trying to hold space for somebody else and their full expression. You actually have to be willing to suppress some part of your own expression in service of holding space for someone else's arising. I mean, you can think of this in terms of being in relationship. If I'm in relationship with somebody and I'm upset and they're upset, in order to get out of the upset, we can either both fully fucking go into it and just rage at each other and see what happens, like if the tension clears and we get to something, or possibly if our relationship blows up, it could be either one, I've tried both. Or one of us could decide, okay, I'm gonna put my trigger on pause for a second, I'm gonna get why you're upset, I'm gonna maybe do some nonviolent communication or authentic relating, and then I'm gonna take the chance to express what's happening in me. But there's a bit of an either or that at least I've never found a way to fully bridge. However, you can use both. So first thing in training circling, just be clear on what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you're doing a community building form of circling, often the Circling Europe style can be really good, because in a way, like as a group, you're all getting the chance to express what's true for you and hear each other out. And at certain times, you may want to dig deeper into somebody's experience and actually put yours on pause. So in terms of like getting somebody else really deeply, in terms of clearing a conflict, in terms of providing an experience, well, providing like a personal insight-based experience, sometimes the integral styles can be better. And I'm calling them the integral styles just because of the Integral Center. Most of them are based on integral theory by Ken Wilber. Okay, so that's going to be part one, is the overview of what the circling styles are, which I didn't realize I was going to talk about. But I'm going to do teaching in a second part to this video, just so that you don't get overwhelmed by the length. Love y'all.